Okay, this is really a fun trick to do. I call this the Australian shuffle. Not this, but the trick. The trick is Australian shuffle. I'll show you what that means here in a minute. What we want to do is take the deck of cards and get them completely shuffled. And by the way, you can do this with a borrowed deck and then a completely shuffled borrowed deck. And that just makes it even more mysterious. But you don't have to. You can use your own deck of cards and let the spectator shuffle them up. Doesn't matter too much because they're going to select a packet of cards out here of their choosing. And say, what I want you to do is, let's take out about 13 cards. We want to work with a small packet of cards, but I want you to decide which 13 cards we work with. So we can spread them out and you can take them out at random like this if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or however you want to do that. There's 6, or you can even do it this way. You can go here, so 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11, 12, and 13. However they want to select the cards, they get to select the 13 cards we're going to use. We're going to get them all mixed up. Then they say to them, we're going to get these really mixed up. In fact, I'm going to teach you 4 different ways to shuffle. Some of these ways you may be familiar with, but I'm going to teach you 4 different ways to mix up these cards for this trick. Okay, first of all, let's make sure there's really 13 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. We did well. The first shuffle is called the overhand. It's a pretty common shuffle, and it works like this. You can teach them how to do this. You just go like this. You peel some cards off the top, take them from the bottom. You can do it this way. You can do it face up if you want to, but probably better to do it face down. But either way, it gets them all mixed up. Say, here, you try it. They can do that. Very good. Excellent job, the overhand. The best shuffle, the fairest shuffle, is called the casino wash, and it looks like this. We're going to take the cards and mix them up. And here, it's kind of fun. You try it. Let them help you do that. Okay, we're going to get them all mixed up. Okay, this is shuffle number 2. Okay, so now you've learned 2 ways to shuffle. Oh, and by the way, before we move on, I'm going to show you some more. I'm going to write down a little something here that's going to matter later on. And give me a minute to do that. There we go. I made a little prediction, but we're going to put it right there, right in front of you, so I can't touch it. And we'll move on. Let's see, we did the overhand shuffle, we did the casino wash. Oh, this is one I call random stacks. And it kind of works like this. We just take some random cards and put them in random stacks. There's 3 cards there, maybe 2 there, maybe 1 there, maybe a couple there, maybe 1 there, maybe 3. Random stacks of cards. And then what we want to do is we want to recompile them, and I want you to help me decide where we put it. So which stack do we use? You point to a stack. Which one do we want? We want them in random order. You want that one and then that one. Okay, completely up to you. It was called the random stack. So we did the overhand, the casino wash, random stacks. By the way, you chose 13 cards out of the deck we haven't even looked at anyway. So I think it's pretty fair. But now it's time for the best shuffle of all. The one that does the magic. It's the Australian shuffle, also known as the down under. And it works like this. We take the packet in our hand. We put a card down and we put a card under. And we just keep doing that till we run out of cards. Looks like this. Down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under. Pretty interesting so far, I know. Down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under. Don't worry, it gets even better. Down, under, down, under, down. We're left with 1 card after all that shuffling. The overhand, the casino, the random stacks, the 13 cards from the deck, the down under shuffle, and we'll end up with 1 card left. Out of all these cards, we ended up with this one. Before we started this trick, I wrote down a prediction. Somehow I knew you would end up with the Queen of Diamonds. That's the Australian shuffle. All right, so let me show you how to do this. This is a kind of a math trick, but you don't have to do any math in your head. When I say math trick, it means it automatically, mathematically works if you do what I just did. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, first things first. We did do 4 shuffles. And we did start with a shuffle deck, completely randomized borrowed deck. Any 13 cards will do, so that's all easy. So let's do that again. Let's find 13 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. We really do shuffle them up. Teach them an overhand shuffle. They're really being shuffled. The casino wash, that's important to do, because as soon as we do the casino wash, that's when we do something a little sneaky. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so we tell them, here's what a casino wash is. And it's just, you know, mixing up the cards like a mess on the table. And here's the first little piece of real secret magic you're going to do. Once the cards are like this, in order to straighten these out, this is why you do the casino wash. It gives you an excuse to pick up the packet and straighten them out. What you're really doing is you're looking at the bottom card real quickly. And I'm seeing a jack of hearts, okay? Right there. I don't tell them that, of course. And I do that very quickly. I want to keep the cards face down as much as possible. No one's even seen any card. In fact, the only time anyone saw a card is when I just glimpsed the bottom one. But I had to, because in order to straighten this out, it requires you to pick them up for a second. So it's a perfectly good little glimpse, very sneaky. Up to this point, no one's seen any faces, okay? So again, we're going like this, and when I go to square them up, I have to kind of stand them up like this, and I'm seeing the bottom card. By the way, now it's a 7 of hearts, okay? So I see the 7 of hearts, and then I stop. I say, okay, oh, before we move on, I act like I forgot something. I was gonna go write something down. What I'm really doing is I'm writing down the card that I just glimpsed on the bottom of this packet. That's going to become my force card, we'll call it. And I go over here and I write down on my prediction 7 of hearts. Okay, I'm going to use the same piece of paper. Okay, and I'm writing down 7 of hearts. Okay, they don't know that. They don't know what I'm doing. Now let's get back to it. See, where were we? Now, we want to make it look like that just happened along the way. Actually, it's very important it happens when it does, because I have to know the bottom card on the packet, and that's the first chance I got. Okay, I showed you the overhand shuffle. I showed you the casino wash. I want to show you another one here. It's called the random stacks. Now, this is another little trick. I know the card that I want them to end up with is on the bottom. Remember, I want them to end up with my 7 of heart prediction. So here's what we do, and this is really important. We act like we're just making random stacks, but there's actually a purpose behind what we're doing. I'm going to take about 3 cards like this, and let's just act like you're just making this up as you go, but you'll probably want to do it like this: 3, 2, 1, and then go 2, 3, 1, and then you'll be left with 1. Okay, make it look like I'm just making this up. Now, the reason why that's important is because this card right here, the bottom card, the last one I put down, the one I want to force, has to be in a very special position in this packet for the down under to work. Let me explain. The down under shuffle, if you will always land on one card, and that card, when we're working with 13, that's important, it has to be 13 cards. This card needs to be the 4th card from the bottom of the packet. So that's my next move. I have to get this card in the 4th position from the bottom. And there's a really simple, looks perfectly fair way to do that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up this card, and as I'm explaining that we're going to be picking them up, I just make sure I pick up the first 2. I'm going to pick up this card, I'm going to pick up a 3-pack right here, and I'm going to say we want to put these in random order. And so I tell them, just tell me which one to pick up. And in doing so, okay, which one they get to choose, and they're going to remember that they chose the randomness of this shuffle as well. We're done. Now, what I really did was I put my card, the one I want them to end up with, in 1, 2, 3, 4 from the bottom. It has to be 4th from the bottom. I'm going to do that again, because when you do it in slow motion, it doesn't look good. But when you're doing it along the way quickly, it looks great. So now that you know that that 7 of hearts, my last card, needs to end up in the 4th position, watch what I do. Say, okay, this one's called the random shuffle. Let's just make a bunch of random stack, I guess. Let's make a bunch of random stacks here of cards and see what we end up with. Now, notice I'm just kind of messing them up all over here. I'm not paying a lot of attention. This is the card I'm keeping my eye on, and I want to make sure it ends up on a stack of 3, because that'll work. So I can either put on this one or this one. That's going to be the easiest and fastest way to do it. You don't want to be stacking a bunch of them. You just want, while you're talking, you say, what we're going to do is we're going to recompile these. In fact, you decide where we go. Which one do I pick up? Okay, now which one? So they are actually picking up the rest of them. You picked up the first 2 to get that card into the position that you want it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because when I had that in a single pile and I set it on top of the 3, putting the cards anywhere on top of that one gets me into my position, okay? And then the rest of it is history. It's done. Now the down under automatically works. Very important you start with the down. Don't start with the under. That's why we call it the down under, like as in the land down under, right? If you're from Australia, down under. Now here we go, like this. Down, under, down, under, down, under, down, under. And it gets boring. So if you want to stop and make a joke or say something, hey, this is exciting, isn't it? Isn't it great? But you got to finish this to get to your card. So you're going to like this, down and under, down and under, down and under, down and under. Keep going, down and under, down and under. We're almost there. Down and under and down. We'll land on a down, and the card that we're left with is going to be that one that was in the 4th position from the bottom. Okay, super, super easy to do as long as you remember that random stack thing. So, quick recap. We did an overhand shuffle, doesn't matter. We did the casino wash on purpose because that gives us a reason to pick up the cards for once. The only time we really look at the face of cards is when we square this up. Right now I'm looking at a bottom card that says 9 of spades, and I say now we're going to do the next shot. Oh, before we do that, I almost forgot. I got to go write something down. I'm going to write down 9 of spades, right? Now I know the 9 of spades is there, and we move on to our random stacks. So let's just mix them up. There's a 3, 2, 1. That's kind of a random thing to do too. Or let's go 3 or 2, 3, 1. Okay. Now we're gonna recompile these, and you're gonna help me. Which pile do you want to work with? This one. Okay. What else? And look, I'm putting the rest of these on top of the force card, right? Which gets it into the right position, and I'm ready for my down under, right? Down under, like this. And you finish it all the way until you get to your force card. Works every time. Okay, now let me just say one more thing. You can do that exactly the way I just did it. Borrowed deck, shuffle deck, looks really good. There's a little bit of a nuance to it. Make it look like you're really kind of making it up as you go, really kind of randomizing it. When you interrupt your 4 different shuffles to make the prediction, you just kind of want to do that along the way. Don't make a big deal about it. Act like you've been shuffling the cards the whole time, which you have been doing. What I want to tell you is that for those of you that are purists, there's an advanced version of this. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to just mention this in the video for those of you that really want to play with the math. You can do this with a stack of, it doesn't have to be 13 cards. Let me just put it that way. You could do this realistically with 11, 12, 13, or 14 cards. Now, the reason why I don't do that is because the math gets a little complicated because you have to remember. The advantage of doing that is that you could let your spectator decide how big the packet's going to be if that's important to you. I personally don't think it matters. I don't think it's all that important. But if you really wanted to, you could say, pick a number between 10 and 15. Let's say they pick an 11. Then you would work with 11 cards instead of 13. Now, if you do that, something changes. Instead of that card being in the 4th position, you're going to have to remember that the card has to be in the 6th position from the bottom. 11, and when you work with 11 cards, the position is 6. If you did it with 12 cards, the position is 5. We did it with 13 cards, where the position is 4. If you wanted to do it with 14 cards, the position would be 3. Now, I know that's confusing, but for those of you that really want to work with it, you could do that if you want to. I thought about it. Actually, for this video, I thought, well, let's have them pick a number between 10 and 15. And then I realized that's going to be a lot to memorize. You got to remember that if they pick an 11, I got to move to 6. If they pick a 14, I got to move to 3. If you want to do that, you can. I just think we will do fine keeping it at 13. But anyway, there it is for you if you want to play with that and do that. By the way, Australia is a good place to be. I spent a month there on stage. It's a good place, good people. If you ever get a chance, go to the land down under. It's beautiful. And have fun with that trick, the Australian shuffle.